wasn't at his best. I think he was a little fatigued from that series with the Nuggets. He never cracked 30 points in that series. Luka averaged over 30 points. That can't happen here. I know Luka has a different team, but Ant Edwards, especially against the Laker team that doesn't have great basket defense and doesn't have elite perimeter defense, Ant Edwards can take advantage in this series.
I will remind everyone that there was a moment in time when Minnesota beat Denver when we were talking about Anthony Edwards like he was the next one. Like this was about to become his league. And then the next series went the way Windy is talking about and all the rest of that. And so looking at it from the Lakers' perspective, you and I were talking about this earlier, it's interesting. What is the one reason why you would think the Lakers could win not only this series, but maybe some more after that?
Because they have the most stars. Stars win series. Stars win in the playoffs. And that's something that you can never forget. And in this series, that's the difference. Anthony Edwards could be the best player on the floor in every game. And it still won't matter because the Lakers still have the two other best players on the floor. And his supporting cast in Minnesota, Anthony Edwards I'm talking about, now they do have some good players, obviously. And what Jaden McDaniels is going to do, what Naz Reid's going to do, their three-point shooting, that's all important. But it's still, the stars raise their level and raise their game in the postseason. These two guys have played great together. They have great chemistry. And all it's going to be about now is trying to match that and stop that. And good luck doing that 4 games.
You're 100% right. Jimmy Butler came to Golden State and said that Steph is Batman and I'm Robin. Luka comes in. To continue the analogy that we've had working all morning long, is this a Batman-Robin situation, Windy? I mean, LeBron James is not Robin under any circumstances, right? So how are we viewing that dynamic duo going into this postseason?
No, but one of the things that we've seen with LeBron is that since Luka arrived, LeBron's been able to conserve energy. So much of what LeBron has going on at this point in his career is picking his spots on when to press down the accelerator. And we've seen him be able to conserve energy and have really big fourth quarters repeatedly playing alongside Luka. And there's a couple of advantages for the Lakers in this series. One, they have home court. They're an elite home court team. That makes a real difference for them for whatever reason. The second thing is, in this series, they come in, Luka and LeBron have had 9 days off, and then it's the first round. It's spread out. There's a bunch of off days. That favors LeBron. When LeBron can be rested, he's a significantly more dangerous player at this point in his career.
Okay, let me go to another one here. We'll continue the game of what if. Alan, this one is for you. What if the Mavericks lose tonight against the Kings, which would end their season? Then what?
It means nothing. It means they get to move on from this nightmare of a finish of a season, and they have to now get healthy. And then we'll talk about the trade and everything else and continue all the way into next season until they are finally whole again. I don't think it means a thing. I think that trade has already been over with. I do think, although Nico Harrison did talk to the media, they're going to have a bigger exit interview and have some give and take with the general population of the media so they can get all the answers and get it out of the way and move on.
Well, yesterday, to that point, Cindy, if we can put it on the screen here, here's what Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavericks who traded away Luka Doncic, said. There's no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it. He went on to say, our philosophy, like I said, going forward is defense wins championships, and we're built on defense, and this trade cements us for that. Windy, what should I take from that?
I mean, him saying there's no regrets is disingenuous. I don't believe that. I think he's just trying to save face. I'm not sure why he did the press conference if he wasn't going to be conciliatory. 2 events happened to the Mavericks this year. There was a Luka trade, which is a standalone thing everybody's watching, and Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. That is a terrible turn of events, the Kyrie Irving injury. That is now defining where this Mavericks team can go. I don't know when or if he's going to be able to play next year. So they go into the offseason. They don't have a primary ball handler. Nico Harrison now has to go out and probably make some other type of trade or some other type of maneuver to get a primary ball handler. They've got to make a major adjustment to this roster. That's what he's got to focus on now. But I'm not sure why he keeps saying this about, what the point of even doing this is. If you can have as many press conferences as you want. The thing I also think about this was a little bit disingenuous is him focusing on defense. That has not been the way that they have necessarily operated. They were a good defensive team last year when they went to the finals. Then they went into the summer and they said goodbye to Derrick Jones Jr., their best perimeter defender, and brought in Klay Thompson, who at this point in his career is not a good defender. He's an offensive first player. So you can't look at me and say that defense wins championships is your primary focus when the moves that you made prior to the Luka trade did not indicate that. And so that's why I'm saying I find this to be disingenuous. I don't believe he doesn't have any regrets, and I don't believe that defense wins championships is the driving factor behind that trade.
I also don't think you can trade away a 25-year-old player and say that my job is to do what's best for this organization in the future.
His job is to do what's best for what ownership wants.
Well, perhaps.
He's the fall guy right now, taking all the bullets, but keep in mind that ownership would not, with a player like that, you got to sign off on something like that. So while, yes, it's his decision and he has to own it, it's everybody in Dallas that has to own this. He just happens to be the front man on this.
Brutal. Well, you'll see them tonight. Our NBA play-in tournament games. Let's take a look at some more or less, brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Hey, Brian Windhorst, if I said Luka Doncic, 28.5 is the over-under for him in Game 1 against Minnesota, you going more or less?
I'm going more. Did anybody watch him play Minnesota last year in the conference finals? He averaged 33. Heck yes, I'm going more. And I expect Luka to be primed for this game. He's going to have a week and a half off. Man, I think he's going for big points in this series.
Alan Hahn, the Greek Freak. It's Indiana and Milwaukee. 32.5 is the number for Giannis in Game 1. You go more or less?
I go more because he's going to have to. And also, the Pacers don't guard, especially in the paint, one of the worst paint defenses, and he's the best scoring in the paint. And in his 3 wins against Indiana this season, 34, 30, and 37. So he knows he has to carry the bulk of this offense.
All right, and the Knicks Pistons will open on Saturday as well. Windman, 26.5 is the number for Jalen Brunson. More or less?
This is a tougher one, but I'm going with more in this one. The Pistons play tough defense. This is going to be a grinding series at times. The Knicks need Brunson, and they specifically need Brunson in the fourth quarters. I think he's going to rack up late points in these games. They were not the same team without him when he was out with that ankle injury. Now that he's back and he's had this, going to have this week off to rest up, I think you're going to see Jalen Brunson going for big numbers.
All right, so we made that a parlay on ESPN Bet. Those picks, Wendy and Alan just weighing in. If you agree, go to ESPN Bet for the Get Up More or Less parlay. You can take this priced at plus 597. Meanwhile, as far as the Knicks are concerned, Kendrick Perkins was on Alan Hahn's radio show earlier this week. He put all the pressure in New York on one man.
I think Tom Thibodeau is under the most pressure probably of any coach in the NBA. And the way that we're witnessing right now, coaches are losing their jobs. The back and forth that he had with Mikal Bridges, too many minutes, things to that nature. And I love Tibbs. He's my Mbutu brother for life, won a championship with him, but I got to call it like I see it. Tom Thibodeau at least have, at bare minimum, force a 7-game series against the Boston Celtics in order to keep his job.
And they've got to beat Detroit before they even can start worrying about the Boston Celtics. We're going to keep Schrager in this conversation because he's a crazy Knicks fan. But for those of you who don't know, around the country, Alan works with the Knicks as well all season long. You cover that team literally day in and day out. Do you agree that Tom Thibodeau's job hangs in the balance of this postseason?
First of all, shout out to Don Hahn and Rosenberg on 880 at ESPN New York for that. But I don't think this season that's where it rides. I do think that there is going to be more and more pressure. I think Perk is right when it comes to no coach has more pressure on him right now. But I don't think it's something that if there is this unexpected failure in the first round that there'll be a change in the offseason. It does not mean, though, that they go into next season with the sword of Damocles hanging over Tom Thibodeau. That could be a real thing.
Windman, what do you think?
No, I don't agree with Perk here. I love Perk, but I don't agree with him. Tom Thibodeau signed a very lucrative contract extension before the season. Not that money is a driving factor for the Knicks. They won 51 games this year. They won 50 last year, despite having some injury issues and despite not having depth at the center position. Could Tom Thibodeau do better developing his bench? Absolutely. Are they competitive with the Celtics and the Cavs, at least in the regular season? Absolutely not. But I think the Knicks' play here is more of a long-term play. I know this is not what a New Yorker wants to hear, but the Knicks' play when they signed all these guys was over a 3-year plan to outlast the very expensive second apron Boston Celtics. Evaluate him over that multiple years, not just this year. The Knicks had a very strong season. If they beat the Pistons, they will have had a good playoff. That's where it's going to be. It doesn't mean you're under the world if you're not winning the title.
Voice of the Knicks fan, if the Knicks don't make the Celtics sweat in round 2, how will you feel?
Why'd we get rid of Dante DiVincenzo? Why didn't we sign Hartenstein? What was the point of all these deals for Bridges and for Towns? I don't blame Tibbs. I know Knicks fans are split. He plays these guys too many minutes during the regular season, so they have nothing left in the playoffs. But when you lose Julius Randle 2 years ago for the playoffs and Brunson last year, I don't think that's fair on Tibbs. But I look at Cat, I look at Bridges. Are we better this year than we were a year ago? And if so, it didn't show up in the regular season against the Cavs and the Celtics. I'm not overlooking Pistons, by the way. And Alan, to me, Detroit scares me. They played last week. Starters were in there, and the Pistons beat up on the Knicks. They are a tough team, and they are not to be overlooked.
I will leave this thought here. Tom Thibodeau is not a good coach. He's a great coach. And the reason that people have the wrong perception of Tom Thibodeau is that he actually treats the regular season like it matters. So, and when the postseason begins, his teams don't have another level to go to. They are already maxing out what they are capable of doing, whereas a lot of other teams are just sort of waiting until what they perceive to be important. So when people say they think Tibbs underachieves in the playoffs, that's actually not accurate. He overachieves in the regular season. He makes teams better in the regular season, and then people are saying, well, why is it they were so good in the regular season? Because all these other teams are waiting to step it up to another level. Tom Thibodeau's biggest strength is perceived as his biggest weakness.
He cares more than a fan. I'll tell you that. He lives and breathes the job. This matters to him more than you can imagine. And he is somebody that understands everything that comes with this. And this is a team, by the way, that was playing great offensive basketball for half the season. They have not played their best yet. And don't sleep on playoff Brunson.
Yeah, Tibbs sat in here when he was between jobs recently. Coach, if they fire you, ridiculous. I got your omelet waiting for you every single morning in the 6 o'clock meeting. We'll make it as much fun as we possibly can. Okay, back to the NFL. We are 8.
Chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng, và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là ghế sofa. Mọi người hôm nay vòng của mình là kính thép. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha. Chẳng biết là cái gì nhưng mà nói thôi. Đợi. Kính gì? Đấy, thế nói đây là kêu là không phải gì đâu. Được. Một vài bên bận rồi.